Hello everyone and welcome to our laboratory today. Of course, my name is Ku. Today we're going to be doing some business English learning by looking at an article in a pretty prestigious business English journal. We're going to take a look at some vocabulary, take a look at some concepts, help you understand some business English words, phrases, and even some American idioms today. We're going to be talking a little bit about the tariffs today. So if you're interested in business English, you want to get better at finance, business, economics, English, then this is the place to be. We're going to jump right in and start our next KuLAB. Okay, let's take a look at our article today. So we're going to be looking at tariffs, and this article is from July 6th, 2025, and the article title reads, "Tariffs will reset on August 1st without deal," Besant says. So basically, this is an article talking about the United States of America and their relationships to the tariffs and how they are going to reset the tariffs. They announced some tariffs in April, and then they put a pause on it. And the deadline was July 9th for every country to get a deal made. And so they're saying that if those deals aren't made, then the tariffs will reset. So set again on August 1st. So they have a few more days to make some deals. Let's hop into the article and see what kind of information we're looking at. So begin reading. Tariffs will revert to April 2nd levels on August 1st if countries around the world don't reach deals with the U.S., according to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. So revert means it will return to. Revert is a common sentence that just basically means return to a previous state. So they're going to go back to those tariffs announced on April the 2nd if the countries don't reach a new deal. Remember how many of the countries had minimum 10%, and then it was a calculation of their trade deficit. So I'll see if I can put up a copy of the chart here. A lot of them had to do if you had a trade deficit with the United States, that's where the tariff began. And then some other countries like China had their own special tariffs and their own special levels. The Trump administration is racing to secure deals before Wednesday's self-imposed deadline, when a pause on so-called reciprocal tariffs on imports from around the world is set to expire. So racing to secure, moving really fast. Self-imposed deadline. Self-imposed means we put the restriction on ourselves. So no one else made us do this deadline. So the Trump administration, the Trump presidency, they put the deadline on themselves, and other countries have to meet that deadline. When a pause on so-called reciprocal tariffs. So so-called is a pretty common phrase when the words following so-called, you don't really believe in them. So you're saying other people called them this. So in this case, the nouns reciprocal tariffs, right, which the Trump administration have said, because you have a trade deficit with us, that is like a tariff. And so they want to make reciprocal tariffs. Reciprocal means if you do it to us, we will do it to you. So the verb is reciprocate. So in this case, it's an adjective that describes tariffs, but you can have reciprocal a lot of things, like reciprocal love. In this case, reciprocal tariffs. So they're saying so-called reciprocal tariffs because many countries around the world don't see a trade deficit as a tariff. It's simply that, a trade deficit. It means you buy more goods from our country than we buy from your country, which is pretty common with the United States of America in that they have a lot of people. They have a lot of people with a lot of wealth, so they can obviously buy more things from other countries than other countries can buy from them. So that's just a trade deficit, and it's not uncommon to have. But the Trump administration sees that trade deficit as something like a tariff. And so they're putting a tariff on the other country. And so you get this word so-called in here to talk about the tariffs. The administration will be sending letters to countries, and then they quote what the letters will say, saying that if you don't move things along, then on August 1st, you will boomerang back to your April 2nd tariff level. So I think we're going to see a lot of deals very quickly. And he uses the phrase boomerang back. So boomerang is, of course, the Australian sport where you throw a boomerang and it comes back at you very quickly. And so he's saying we've had this break since April. We're going to very quickly come back to that level at the April 2nd level. The playbook is to apply maximum pressure, Benson told CNN of the trade deal process. He added the U.S. was close to several deals. As always, there's a lot of foot dragging on the other side. And so I would expect to see several big announcements over the next couple of days. He wouldn't name them because he didn't want to let them off the hook. So let's look at our couple of phrases here. Foot dragging. Foot dragging is a noun phrase that refers to a deliberate delay, or you're intentionally being slow about something. Imagine the image of, a parent pulling their child along, but the child doesn't want to go, so they let their body go limp, and they just drag their feet. It makes the process slower. So he's saying that some countries are intentionally going slow, and that noun phrase, that sort of idiomatic expression, is foot dragging. He continues to say he wouldn't name them because he didn't want to let them off the hook. So let them off the hook is a verb phrase, idiomatic expression, where it means the other thing or country or person does not have any consequences. So it comes, of course, from fishing. When you catch a fish, instead of keeping the fish, you let it off the hook. And by letting it off the hook, you haven't captured the fish anymore. You can put it back in the ocean, and then the fish goes free. So when you let someone off the hook, they don't suffer any consequences. So he's saying if he names these countries, they would be let off the hook. I'm not sure why, not sure how, but that's his reason for not naming them. It could be that there are no countries that are making deals, but we'll see in the next few days. Stephen Miran, the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors. So if you're not familiar with this place, this is a cabinet position, but not in the big formal cabinet like Secretary of State or Defense Secretary. The chair of Council of Economic Advisors is a person who oversees the economist that a country, in this case the United States, will use. And these people provide the president with supposedly unbiased economic information. So they do run the models, they do some modeling, and then they give the president some information, and the president then makes decisions using that information. It is important that countries line up to make concessions to get these deals. So line up is the American version of Q if you're studying British English, but line up to make concessions. He's saying these countries need to offer the United States something, give up something so that the United States doesn't impose a very, very large tariff on them and their products. He continues to say, my expectation would be that countries that are negotiating in good faith and making the concessions that they need to get a deal, but the deal is not just there yet because it needs more time, my expectation would be that those countries get a roll. The president will decide. Now, this phrase, get a roll, is very unique. It's not used very often. It's not really an idiomatic expression. I believe what he's trying to say is maybe get a pass or get a rollover. A rollover is like an extension. Things can roll over and time can. To get a pass means similar to let off the hook. You get a little bit longer, get an extension. So get a roll is not a very common phrase. You might not see it. This was obviously one person saying this, a quotation. So it's interesting if you read this article, if you were to read this, what that means. But just know, even from, it's not used that much, even within native speakers. Trump is quoted as saying, "I think that letters are better for us. I think a simple tariff is better than sitting down and working 15 different things. It's much easier to send a letter saying, listen, we know we have a certain deficit, or in some cases a surplus, but not too many. And if this is what you have to pay if you want to do business to the United States." Now, Trump probably meant to say business with the United States. You don't do business to something. But again, this is a quotation from the president. And he's basically saying he doesn't want to sit down with the countries individually. He's just going to send out a letter with a number on it and said, this is the number. Here's the tariff you are to expect, and make a deal if you want to do business, in the words of President Trump, to the United States. He means with the United States. All right, good work. Quick business English article today. Just wanted to get out some more information. I think we'll start focusing a little bit on business English. A lot of folks from the community have said, oh, we enjoy that. So we might start looking at some business English and some business English articles. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like it, go ahead and hit the like, subscribe button. Come back again this week for some more business English journals. And I hope to see you in the next KuLAB.